People who have been sympathetic to the idea of Saw Gerrera since 2016 got a massive Christmas present with Andor Season 2. Forrest Whitaker's Saw Gerrera only had a couple of scenes, but wow. If he didn't make every last one of them memorable. I'm also a bit sad because I can't stop thinking about how much more we would have gotten had the original plan of 5 seasons still been on the table. But at least the show ended on their own terms and wasn't cancelled and not able to complete the journey on screen. In the second arc of the second season of Andor, one of the major focuses is on the character of Wilmon, or as Saw would pronounce it, Wilmon. And we get to see how someone who's pretty low on the food chain at the time sees the Resistance OG. Saw's terrifying, and we don't see Wilmon in Rogue One or beyond, so I wasn't entirely sure if Buddy was going to make it out of this arc. When you're in a room full of partisans, there's probably at least a 30% chance someone isn't walking out. The story goes that Wilmon delivered a Rhydonium fuel siphon to the partisans on the orders of Luthen and the Axis network so that they could siphon it illegally from various planets for starship fuel and, drug use too, I guess. Wilmon knew how to work the machine, but his original goal was to simply deliver it. He wasn't there to take part in whatever the partisans were doing. But with Gerrera, things don't always go according to plan. Saw wanted Wilmon to teach the various configurations of the siphon tool to Pluty, a member of the partisans, which was not part of the deal. Nevertheless, Wilmon worked with Pluty and seemingly got pretty far in the process. The arc seems to imply that Wilmon won't be surviving his adventure with Gerrera once he's finished on Dakar. Saw doesn't know him. He's wary of everyone, even his closest allies, and he's an extremely paranoid man, not entirely without cause, I'll add. Fortunately for Wilmon, as it turns out, Pluty's an informant for the Galactic Empire. At least that's what Saw tells the partisans after he domes Pluty. But not before scaring the living hell out of Wilmon. And he's taking Wilmon with him to siphon Rhydonium instead. Or perhaps he was always going to do that. I'm giving a fairly broad recap of the episodes because I mainly want to focus on the highlight of the entire arc. On this unidentified planet that partisans are on, Saw talks about his time as a kid in the Onderon jungle, all while an extremely nervous Wilmon is trying to concentrate on siphoning the fuel. You ever try and work while someone's yapping? Finally, Wilmon gets it done, the fuel is ready to take, and now begins what has to be one of the highlights of the entire second season. Join me as we take a look at Saw Gerrera's shining moment, a moment of vindication for everyone trying to explain why Saw Gerrera is important to this rebellion. I hope you enjoy. Saw Gerrera loves Rhydonium. No, like he loves it. She's Saw's sister, you see, and he loves her. And she loves him. In fact, Gilroy wanted to hammer that fact down so hard that he confirms he's not actually huffing oxygen in Rogue One like we all thought for like a decade. He's huffing Rhydonium. When I saw him talking to Wilmon about how much he adores the smell of it, how much he relishes the opportunity to obtain it, and not so subtly threatening Wilmon under pain of death to make the siphon work properly, I thought it was just another example of Saw being absolutely, positively batshit insane. And broadly speaking, that's exactly what he is. But the scene changes tone. It starts giving you hints that underneath all of those outbursts and crazy eyes that Saw gives, there may be a lesson in there somewhere. And to my eternal gratitude, there was, and it was beautifully done. Saw has been fighting for years, decades, since he was a young man. From the battlefields of the Clone Wars until the Death Star killed him 20 years later, he's been fighting against one regime or another. What kind of strain does that inflict on someone? To only know war, to have to constantly be on the move, knowing you are always being searched for by a government that has endless resources and would like nothing more than to see you hanged in a display as a trophy, and a warning for anyone else who dares fight back against the Empire. The Empire tried everything to get to Saw, sending special forces, embedding Imperial spies. They tried and failed for years to bring Saw down, but it did take a toll on him. He could never allow himself to trust anyone. I doubt he was ever able to relax, and I'm sure he lived in a constant state of alert. He had to. That was the only way he was ever going to survive. The losses Saw had to endure are probably more than most people in the galaxy would ever be able to handle or contemplate. But the loss that has clearly had the most profound impact on him was that of his sister Steela. Another revolutionary and a firebrand that was able to inspire and lead better than Saw as well, I might add. It changed him. I think it made him fear any kind of attachment at all. He had comrades, he had allies and people he could rely on more than others, but he could never really care for someone like he cared for Steela. As much as I believe he cared for Jyn, I don't think Jyn was ever truly able to break through that shell. That trauma, coupled with a constant state of war, paranoia, and then throw a Rhydonium addiction in, Saw Gerrera is a very volatile man. But then he hits us with it. A line that Saw has that suddenly explains perfectly everything about who he is, what he's gone through, and why he's doing this. You think I'm crazy? Yes, I am. Revolution's not for the sane. Look at us. Unloved, hunted, cannon fodder. We'll all be dead before the Republic is back, and yet, here we are. And damn it. Yeah, okay. He knows he's off his rocker. He has to be to do what he does. He's the original rebel. The true, unaltered, and raw aspect of the rebellion. The violent resistance and the asymmetric warfare that was the rebellion's main form of fighting back before it became a large and organized force. That's what Saw threw himself into. He's operating on a level of fight the Empire that even the most dedicated rebel fighter would be intimidated by. His words to Wilmon do seem like a sort of pitch to him, but it's more than that. It's a look into everything that Saw Gerrera and Luthen Rael, for that matter, stand for. Luthen woke up to an equation he wrote 15 years ago and understood that he was damned for what he was going to do for the rebellion. Saw made a similar calculation, which is probably one of the reasons why the two seem to have such an understanding with each other despite their occasional rifts and tense moments. Burning their lives for a sunrise that they know they'll never see is in the contract they signed when they first took up arms against the Empire. Saw's not trying to pull Wilmon away from Luthen necessarily with his eccentric words and galvanizing voice. He's giving Wilmon the lesson of what it means to be in a revolution against the Empire. They are unimportant, expendable cannon fodder, but unlike the ultimately unimportant and expendable pawns of the Empire, like Dedra Meero and Cyril Karn found themselves to be, the rebellion's fiercest warriors take those descriptions and wear them with pride, not shame. They know that they are the ones that will ultimately push the lines forward and hopefully make it all worth it in the end. They'll probably die in the attempt, but that's why there's a lot of them. Krieger's separatists, Saw's partisans, Dodonna and the Masasi group, Admirals Radis and Akbar and the Mon Cala fleet, Luthen and the Axis network, factions of rebellion that once upon a time were filled with the unloved, hunted, and cannon fodder. But together, the danger they pose to the Empire. Saw's telling Wilmon, "You're in it, son. It's hard and fast going forward, and you or I probably won't be around to see what our work accomplishes. For the greater good. Isn't it wonderful?" On the surface, Saw Gerrera is a raging maniac addicted to gas fumes and leading his insane soldiers on a suicide crusade against an unbeatable empire. But in his eyes is the truth. Saw is fully aware of how his enemies and even his nominal allies perceive him, and he relishes in it. In Saw's mind, he does what people like Mon Mothma and Bail Organa are not only unwilling to do, but cannot do. He is there to push the envelope of what it means to do things for the greater good. I've always made the argument that Luthen and Saw are a lot more alike than people ever like admitting. Only look at how Alliance High Command regards both of them with similar levels of frustration, mistrust, and hostility. How fitting it is that those two and their associates, the people in the rebellion that will probably never get official praise from the rebellion's leaders or the New Republic, are the ones that the Alliance High Command can ultimately thank for the path leading them to the Death Star plans and the beginning of the end for the Galactic Empire. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick analysis of one of my favorite Star Wars scenes. Gerrera is hardly a major character in either season of Andor, but he's such a fascinating one, and Whitaker does such a phenomenal job giving him a voice that every moment is unforgettable. If you did enjoy this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, as well as hit the bell icon so that you're among the first to see any new content going forward. I got a pretty decently sized Luthen Rael Clea Markey video coming out soon, hopefully before the end of the month, so please be on the lookout for that, and in the meantime, check out some of my other videos about Andor, my Jedi Survivor playthrough, and all things Star Wars. This is Mesa Windu. Please continue to enjoy the rest of your week, love each other in these crazy times we live in, and always remember, the Force will be with you. Always.